All right, let's talk about two stories from the Trump administration that, on the surface, could not be more different. First, you've got this wild proposal to buy Greenland, the massive island covered in ice. And then you have this incredibly tense, down to the wire standoff with Iran. So, what could possibly link them? Well, the answer reveals a really fascinating, and some would say radical shift in how America deals with the rest of the world.
It's a great question, right? A frozen island versus a flashpoint in the Middle East. It seems like apples and oranges. One's a real estate negotiation, the other is on the brink of war. But when you look a little closer, this pattern starts to emerge. A kind of playbook that redefines how America engages with the world, treating friends and foes in a surprisingly similar fashion. And that playbook has a name: transactional foreign policy. Think of it like this. It's an America-first mindset where everything is a deal. International relations isn't about shared values or decades-old alliances anymore. It's about transactions. And every single interaction is judged by one metric, and one metric only. What's in it for the U.S. right here and right now? Let's see how this actually played out. Okay, first up, Greenland. And yeah, this was the moment everyone was talking about. The serious, out-of-the-blue proposal to just buy it from Denmark. And this wasn't some joke. It was framed as a absolutely vital strategic move. A geopolitical real estate deal on a massive, massive scale. And this quote from Trump himself really cuts right to the chase. The official reason wasn't subtle at all. It was a direct play against the growing influence of Russia and China, who are both making big moves in the Arctic. The administration didn't just see Greenland as an island, they saw it as a critical piece of the global chessboard, a buffer zone and a potential forward operating base all in one. So why Greenland specifically? Well, this side breaks it down into three core reasons, and it's about way more than just planting a flag. First, location, location, location. It sits right between North America, Europe, and Russia. It's the perfect spot for early warning missile defense, a kind of sentry post for the continent. Second, resources. Greenland is sitting on a literal treasure chest of rare earth minerals. And third, trade. As the polar ice caps melt, brand new shipping lanes are opening up, and guess who's already there? China. And when we say a treasure chest, we are not kidding. That 25 plus you see, that's the number of different types of rare earth minerals they think are buried under that ice. We're talking about the stuff that powers everything. Lithium for electric car batteries, graphite for solar panels, specialized materials for missiles and satellites. In the 21st century, the country that controls these resources, well, they've got a huge leg up in the race to be the next economic superpower. But there was just one tiny snag in this grand real estate plan: the people who actually live there. A survey from back then showed a staggering 85% of Greenlanders were basically saying, thanks, but no thanks. Their message couldn't have been clearer. We are not for sale. Of course, in a truly transactional mindset, that didn't stop the planning, with reports suggesting the U.S. was thinking about offering direct cash payments to every single citizen to try and swing a vote. All right, so now let's shift gears and head halfway around the world, because the same kind of logic was being applied, but this time the stakes were way, way higher. We're talking about a high-stakes game of chicken with Iran. Not a real estate deal, but a game of coercion and military pressure. And this timeline, wow, it shows you just how close we really came. I mean, we had U.S. jets literally in the air, on their way to hit targets inside Iran. Israeli forces were on full alert, bracing for the counterattack. And then, with just minutes to spare, the order was pulled back. And why? It wasn't some sudden change of heart. It was a cold, hard calculation. A strike would probably lead to a long, messy war, not a quick win. And that was a price that was deemed too high. So instead of war, this was the deal put on the table, a list of demands that was essentially an offer to surrender. And what's so revealing is when you look at what was being asked for: hand over your uranium, dismantle your missile program, cut off all your proxies like Hezbollah and Hamas. You see, as our sources point out, pretty much every single one of these demands directly aligned with the strategic interests of Israel. It was a clear case of using American power to advance an ally's agenda as a top U.S. priority. But here's the twist. This super aggressive stance wasn't just meeting resistance from Iran. It was making America's own allies in the region really nervous. You had key partners like Saudi Arabia and Qatar, countries that host massive U.S. military bases, flat out refusing to be a launchpad for war. They made it clear, you are not using our territory to attack Iran. That is a stunning pushback against your main security partner. Okay, so you've got this wild land grab in the Arctic on one hand, and a near-miss war in the Persian Gulf on the other. Now let's bring them together and pull back the curtain on the playbook that connects these two totally different situations.
And here it is, laid out side by side. The parallels are just impossible to ignore. In both cases, the goal was a clear, tangible win for America, a strategic asset, or the total submission of a rival. The justification was identical, national security. The tactics were aggressive and unilateral, either with money or with military threats. And the response from allies? Consistently shock, anger, and a refusal to play along. It's the same script, just a different stage.
So what happens when the world's biggest superpower starts acting like this? Well, this approach didn't happen in a vacuum. It sent shockwaves through the entire international system. It created a ton of uncertainty and forced countries all over the world to rethink their relationship with the United States. The fallout was significant. You had decades-old alliances strained to their breaking point. America's reputation as a reliable, predictable partner took a serious hit. We saw European allies already looking nervously at the situation in Ukraine, openly worrying that the U.S. might just abandon them in a crisis if it wasn't in its immediate transactional interest. The approach designed to project strength ended up creating division and fear among America's closest friends. When you boil it all down, what the Greenland and Iran episodes really showed us was a fundamental shift in priorities. The long game of diplomacy, of building and maintaining trust with allies, that was all put on the back burner. In its place was this relentless focus on short-term, measurable wins, even if it meant alienating the very partners America had relied on for generations.
And that leaves us with this final crucial question. This transactional approach is definitely a new and in some ways a very direct playbook for using power. But what's the long-term price? Is the hunt for immediate national gain worth the potential erosion of the global alliances and stability that have been painstakingly built over decades? It's a question that really defines this new era of global power. And frankly, the answer is far from clear.